So I'll just leave the word to Natalia for starting, and I think we are ready to go, and then who else is going to join us along the way.
Sure. So welcome everybody. It's a great pleasure to actually open this first webinar we're having in the community, and it's the first of many more to come. I want to thank Carmen for generously giving us the opportunity to experience these 4 sessions, which are called Building Your Resilience Muscle. They're on something that's absolutely crucial for us these days in the difficult times we're all going through. Resilience is what's going to help us not just get out of it, but make the most of the situation and come out of it wiser, happier, and better than ever. Carmen is based in Aarhus, and she is specialized coach working with women on leadership, and 2 themes that are very important in her work. She's working with the imposter syndrome and the inner critic. I think these are both 2 incredibly important subjects for women, and she will be joining as a professional coach also the community as we unfold more learning opportunities. And with this, well, thank you, Carmen, for this opportunity, and please introduce yourself and host.
Thank you very much, Natalia, and thank you everyone for being here today, and also for those that are going to listen afterwards. Thank you for being with us. Indeed, as Natalia was saying, these are some great times to work on resilience and to build up this muscle, which is so important to go through the challenges. I have the opportunity to support with holding this webinar for all of us. It is a big pleasure, and I'm happy that I have the experience of training the resilience muscle with both with mindfulness and with coaching all over the world. So this has been very important during the years for me, and we'll do our best to give you as many tools as possible. In the same time, it's gonna be something that it's important for you to try out. So even if it might feel that you didn't get the magic formula, actually the magic formula is for you to try things out. Just before going into the topic, I would like to share with you a little bit of house keeping. I guess we all know how Zoom is working, but yeah, please keep yourself muted. And when you have something to say, unmute. There is a button with the microphone, and it's important in order to be able to understand each other and to hear each other and to avoid a lot of background noise. Also, there is a chat box. Natalia will keep an eye on it, so in case you want to say something and you don't want to unmute yourself, please write there. And also we'll have some Q&A at the end, so please feel free to ask questions, and what questions we can't answer right now we'll answer along the way. So don't be shy, use the chat box, and also I'll open the mic for us to talk together, so please feel free to unmute yourself and to talk when you are sharing. Going forward, what we'll cover over this 4 webinars actually is how can we keep calm in moments of crisis. And it's not only about the crisis that we are going right now, but can be many things in our life. So it's important to remember how to be calm in these moments, how to keep our emotions in balance, and then how to train our mind for resilience, because this is actually what is supporting us to to go through challenging times. And one important step also for being resilient and for achieving this resilience is important to be compassionate and self-compassionate, and this is why I'll have some more knowledge and information about compassion and self-compassion. But this is going to be over all 4 webinars. This webinar will start with some mindfulness practice, and then we'll talk a little bit about the brain and the emotions, and about the awareness, which it is, if I talked about self-compassion as being one of the steps for building resilience, increasing awareness and being more aware is the first step actually to build awareness. And starting right now, I am curious who is feeling, for example, like this, who's feeling overwhelmed really under the stress of working from home, having the computer there and all the other things just coming your way and pressing, squeezing you. If you can just share with us if there is anyone else feeling this way, feeling overwhelmed, anxious, unsafe, can put it in the chat box or
overwhelmed for sure, because I had to adjust my lifestyle to becoming a full-time teacher, for my kids.
yes. Yeah,
Along
yeah,
with the work and also attending to everything else.
yeah,
Definitely an adjustment there.
yeah, indeed. Thank you so much for sharing. Anybody else?
So you might actually hear in the background my kids and my dog. So it's driving me crazy and not used for them being home all the time. I'm very used to working remote and doing that work virtually. But all that noise around me the whole day just really is tiring. Yeah. And a lot of distractions.
Yeah. Thank you so much for sharing. Yes. Well, as you already shared, there are a lot of things changing, and we need to really adapt to what's going on, and also a lot of emotions coming up. Plus, there is a saying that goes like, human mind is like Velcro for negative experiences and like Teflon for positive experiences. So for sure, we are a little bit more wired to feel more the negative experiences, and uncertainty, lack of control, distractions, restrictions, and social isolation are a strong cocktail for negativity and overwhelm. And I experienced that myself as well. I'm used to work remotely, yet everything around me is changing. The topics with my clients are changing. More panic it is around, more limitations. So for sure, I experience as well, and I'm very grateful this time that I have my mindfulness practice, which now is it's showing its benefits, and not only the mindfulness practice, but for sure the self-compassion practice and the emotional balance practice. And definitely, even if things are challenging, with resilience, we can find our way through. And well, what is resilience? And metaphorically speaking, resilience for me is like a phoenix bird that is cyclically regenerating from its own ashes. It's arising from its own ashes. So it's the ability to bounce back, to rise again from any challenge that we might encounter. So thank you once again for being here, and for learning together and then supporting each other. And as I said earlier, we are all through challenges. I had, and I keep on having my own challenges. Yet for me personally, what has been helping very much, it is the mindfulness practice and the self-awareness and the self-compassion practices. And I will share more with you along the way. But I would like to start with you with what I call a settling in practice, a practice that I do always with my clients, that I do always when I give public talks, when I do workshops. Because we are all running, and as you said right now, kids are home, work is going, should go as usual, and many other things going on, noises, distractions. It's very difficult to have focus on what's going on right now. So for this reason, I prefer to always do a short mindfulness practice before starting to be able to come here. So let's spend a few moments, if you would like to take your seat, sitting comfortably with the neck and shoulders comfortably, the hands on your thighs or in your lap. And if it feels comfortable for you to close your eyes, closing your eyes. If you prefer to have your eyes open, just gazing somewhere down in front of you to reduce the visual distractions. And I invite you for a moment to notice what's present at the level of the body. Notice any sensations, might be the touch to the chair or to the couch. Maybe sensations of warmth or cold. Any tension or muscles feeling relaxed. Just notice wherever might be present for you right now at the level of the body, without trying to change anything. Noticing as well what's present at the level of the mind. There are a lot of thoughts, questions, ideas, plans, worries. Again, just being aware of them without letting yourself carry it away, but just observing. Noticing as well what's present at the level of emotions, if any emotions are present. And again, just observing them without needing to change them in any way, but without letting yourself overwhelmed. And now, while having the awareness of the body, mind, and emotions, I invite you to leave all this in the background and to bring your attention to the fact that you are breathing, without changing your breath in any way, but just being aware of normal breath, natural breath. With each breath connecting to the present moment, connecting to yourself. And when you feel fully connected, I invite you to spend a moment to set an intention for the few minutes we are going to spend together today. Maybe an intention about how you want to be, how you want to show up for these minutes. What do you want to take with you? What's really, really important for you right now? And whenever the intention is set, you can bring small movements in your body, stretch in any way you need, and slowly and at your own time, opening your eyes. And I'm curious who would like to share. You can share it in the chat box, or you can share it, just unmute yourself and share maybe what emotions were present for you, or what at the level of the body, at the level of the mind, and also what's your intention right now. Just wherever you want to share, I'm happy to hear. I'm curious to hear.
So I felt very nervous before, and just, all over the place, and a bit anxious, everything that's going on. It just really calmed me down and helped me focus on being here now. And so the intention was really for me to listen with presence what's coming next, not being distracted by everything else.
Yeah, thank you so much, Erica. Yeah, thank you. Anybody else? I'm sure we'll have the chance to share more a little bit later. But for sure, probably you noticed also some emotions being present, and together with the sensations in the body. And actually, what is an emotion? Well, an emotion, as you can see also on the screen, is a process that happens when we sense something important to our well-being and welfare is happening. And this is a process influenced by our evaluations and has an impact on our mind and body. And this is why we are feeling all these sensations also in the body. But who is responsible for our emotions? What's going on there? Our limbic system is the biggest responsible area in our body, and it's natural to have these emotions. And the limbic system is a set of brain structures located on the top of the brainstem and under the cortex, and it's involved in many of our emotions and motivations, especially those related to survival, such fear and anger. And the limbic system is also involved in feelings of pleasure that are related to our survival, like those connected to eating or sex. And the limbic system influences both the peripheral nervous system and the endocrine system. We can see that the amygdala and the hippocampus are present here as well, and they play important roles in memory. The amygdala is responsible for determining which memories are stored and where the memories are stored in the brain. And the hippocampus sends memories out to the appropriate part of the cerebral hemisphere for long-term storage and retrieves them when necessary. So this is why many times it happens when something comes our way, when a challenge comes, there are certain memories associated that keep on coming back, and the brain gets some signals and tries to protect us. And there are two other important parts that in the limbic system, and these are thalamus and hypothalamus. And thalamus is involved in the sensory perception and regulation of motor functions, and hypothalamus is playing a major role in regulating hormones, the pituitary gland, body temperature, and adrenal glands, and many other vital activities. And as I was saying, as human beings, we are wired to have emotions, and their initial role is to keep us safe. And when we are experiencing something that might seem dangerous, our brain receives the signal to protect us, usually from amygdala, which is considered as our alarm center in the body. It's all fired up and sends a lot of signals and starts retrieving different memories. And many times is associating what is happening, they're saying, with painful or dangerous memories. And then it gets into fight or flight or freeze. So they really try to protect us in a certain way. And again, this all hormones and glands that keep on invading our body, they are there to protect us. Yes, being exposed to continuous stress, to continuous hyperarousal, they start to influence us negatively, and we might end up having too high blood pressure, or the pulse increases, or we might have problems sleeping, or we might have certain tensions. So again, this physiological processes are hardwired in us. They are involuntarily coming up. We can't control what's happening in our brain. We can immediately feel the warmth or the cold chills. But what we can influence is what we are doing in the moment when we sense this. And many times in freeze, fight, or flight, we might adopt some coping mechanisms that are not necessarily serving us. Sometimes we avoid emotions, and other times we override them. Or other times we overwork, we engage ourselves in self-destructive behaviors, in abuse of maybe drugs or alcohol or cigarettes or caffeine or food, just to kind of find a way out of these situations. I'm curious, is there anyone who can think about a coping mechanism which is not that helpful for you, but that you might also find yourself doing it sometimes?
Yes. Natalia, go ahead. Sorry.
Oh, please go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, I think many women and maybe even men, I'm not sure if it's more prominent in one gender versus the other, go on autopilot, and so suppressing the emotion completely in order to be strong and not to show weakness. And sometimes, you overdo it, and eventually it turns into anxiety, or your body eventually reacts after a while.
Yes. Yeah.
Because you keep pushing the emotion down. So I think a lot of women do that. I do that sometimes.
Yes. Yeah, thank you, Noha, for sharing. Yeah, indeed, that's happening many times, and that might happen under freeze or fight or flight, depending. Each of us are having its own ways, his own ways or her own ways of suppressing emotions and covering them up. Yeah, thank you for sharing. Natalia, you wanted to say something.
Yes, what I wanted to share also is, and I've reflected on this from my own experience, but I've seen it also with many other people. Somehow when we suppress emotions, when we don't want to deal with them, and I mean with negative emotions, what happens is, and I've really experienced that, we suppress also our ability to experience joy. So somehow, we need to accept the negative. My conclusion has been that if we accept the negative emotions as normal, we also we're not hard on ourselves for experiencing them, and we don't neglect them. Also, we also are better at remaining, keeping our capacity to experience positive emotions as well, and that's key. I mean, if we don't enjoy life, there's no point to living. So somehow there is a connection between these modes of freeze, fight, flight, and I wonder what's your experience with that.
Yeah, thank you for mentioning that, Natalia. And actually, in my work, I do it a little bit differently, in the sense that there are no negative or positive emotions. All emotions have their own role, yet every emotion can be used constructively or destructively. Both, for example, fear can be used constructively by getting us in emotion, but making us fighting where it's needed to fight for something that is important for us. Or also joy may be destructive, where we have fun and enjoy somebody else's problem. So it's really looking at the emotions, that they are all having their role in our life. Yet it's very, very important to understand that they can all be constructive or destructive, and to work to see how we can actually balance and how we can use all our emotions more in a constructive way. And this is why I'm going to transition out with mindfulness. We have the awareness of my own emotions, awareness of what's happening in my body, awareness of what's at the level of my mind, and this is happening for turning towards. It's counterintuitive, but this is really the first step in building resilience, is being aware of what's present for me right now, and really acknowledging that. For example, saying, well, now it is a very tough situation. I'm feeling powerless. I feel that I don't have the resources to cope. I'm overtired. And I know, and then compassion comes into, and common humanity comes into place, who says that, well, I know that I'm not the only one suffering, and not the only one who's going through this, and then I know I have the resources to go through this, and this is the resilience part. But to get the resources, is we turn towards and we ask, after acknowledging what's present for us right now, then we ask ourselves, what's the best I can do for myself right now, or what's the best I can do in this situation. And this is being here for ourselves. It's not taking the challenges away, because we cannot do that. We can't live in a magic ball where everything is perfect. Life has challenges and also beautiful moments, but it's more about how am I navigating as gracefully as possible these challenging moments. So this is something very important, and this comes with awareness and with turning towards, really taking ownership and acknowledging what's present for us in this moment. Because how can I be in balance? Well, the only thing that we can control in this world is how we respond to what happens, and we are having, or we can have control over our inner space. And I'm not a big fan of the word control, having control, but we can really make a choice of how we handle the turmoil. Well, we are slowly going towards the end of our time together, and I just want to, before getting any questions, if we can do that, I would like actually to invite you until next time. I hope that next time you and others are going to join us. Until next time, I will post in the chat for us on Women Heart to Heart. I will post a link to a meditation, awareness of the breath, and my invitation is to try to practice that for a week, and really acknowledge what's present for you. And next week we'll talk more about your experience, and to build up more resilience, but starting with awareness, because we'd like things to change quickly, but that's really not possible. We really need to take our time and to be patient. Thank you so much so far. We are at the top of the hour. If there is a question that you would like I could answer now, or otherwise we can have them also in the chat box on Women Heart to Heart, and I can answer that. So is there anything in the chat box, Natalia, or?
No, I believe no. I think everybody has been, whoever wanted to say something went forward and said it. So, and I see Heidi is giving us a thumbs up.
Yeah. Well, then I really thank you very, very much for being here, and I really hope you got something from this, and I really encourage you to pay attention and to be aware of what's happening in your life these days and how it's impacting you. And let's talk more about it next time. And also
Thank you.
write in the chat box, and I can
Thank you,
answer you.
Carmen.
Thank you,
you,
Carmen.
Thank you. Bye.